Quakertown, Pennsylvania is not exactly where you'd expect to find a skate park quite like this. But even less likely than its location is how it got here. That's thanks to the grassroots efforts of this community and many unexpected partners. But that is a story over 2 decades in the making.
A Bucks County community put in a skate park years ago, but things didn't go as planned. Now there's a new plan and a new vision, thanks to lots of community support.
Quakertown is a great community with a rich background of stirring history. We founded a town with much heart, a friendly place, and one where the future is bright.
I mean, it was, for a while there. Throughout the 1950s, Quakertown was thriving. But like many industrial towns in the region, a number of the factories that fueled that growth shut down. Followed by our railway. And much like neighboring Bethlehem, this resulted in a period of decline for the town. To many, we began to develop a negative reputation. And to most, this was nowhere more obvious than the skate park.
It was a facility that was fenced. The borough had to have an employee down there. They charged for use of it. And to some degree, it wasn't used as much because it was fee-based. We started to, and we did experience, within a very short amount of time, a fair amount of criminal mischief.
In 2003, Quakertown put in this Action Sports Park, but soon after it went up, just 5 years later in fact, they ran into some trouble. Trouble maintaining it, trouble keeping out, well, trouble.
Probably because it was a closed facility. So people that wanted to use it when it was closed, they got in and they trespassed and they used it. I don't think there was any community youth ownership to the facility. We had some arson incidents down there. We had some other, as I said, very serious intentional damage.
There was always friction between our crew of skateboarders and everyone else. There was only a few skate parks. Most of us were kids, we didn't have any money, so we would go skate the streets and find a place to skate, find a ledge, find a rail, find a set of stairs. And free parks were kind of unheard of unless it was a DIY park. And typically if there was a DIY park, it was an old rundown tennis court or basketball court, and everything would be haphazardly thrown together.
From a township perspective, there are a lot of times that the skateboarding community is seen in a negative light. I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that there's not those safe spaces for skateboarders to have the opportunity to develop their skills and just have that place where they belong.
I was there during a couple of significant events that were actually culminated to the idea of closing it. Funny enough, I have some of those core memories because they were some of the first times I was ever out, I guess, sort of in the real world. I'd say the big one that I remember is when the building was broken into. I was, if I'm not mistaken, the youngest person that was there that day.
I was getting to the point where I was going to recommend to council, let's just close the facility. We were spending literally tens of thousands of dollars to do reoccurring maintenance on it. To the credit of Borough Council, they knew the importance of this type of facility in the borough. By the grace of God, and I say really by the grace of God, one day Pastor Dave shows up here at Borough Hall and he says, how can I help?
Quakertown is filled with churches of many denominations. Church attendance is regular and faithful. Missionary efforts and related activities are well supported. Church is a very important thing in Quakertown.
I came to this idea, we ought to be able to impact our community better than anyone else. If our church closed its door, would anyone really notice or care? And at that point, I'm not sure people would have really noticed. So that sort of drove me to our community and asking, what are the needs of our community? And I just started interacting with local leaders and just started asking them that question.
He said that he really wanted to get involved. He knew that he could get support, and he had a vision. And we talked about that vision.
He just identified, yeah, we're struggling with what he labeled a growing group of parentless, directionless teens hanging out at 2 local parks. And he said one of those parks was a skate park. I was like, skate park? That sounds like fun. That sounds like the closest thing to dirt bikes, you know, in Quakertown. Coming out of high school, I was able to race professionally for about 6 years. Never was a hero at it, never made a huge amount of money, but sure as heck had a lot of fun. God never wastes our past. And so when I look back at my racing days, he used that preparation, that time with my dad on the road, that time in that environment to really prepare me for this new environment, which was out at the park. There's a lot of similarities. The first step with being a part of that community was just going out there, you know, just being with them. My son Tim and I, we just head out to the park, try to learn how to skateboard. That was quite a process, still in process. It was awesome skating with my son. I mean, that's fun. It's great to see progression of any level, but especially when it's your own child. He could drop off of anything, like just flat drop off anything. Right, that's how he won his first contest down in Lansdale.
Awesome, Tim.
You think of all other sports, they have a time where parents and everyone comes out and just celebrates and sees what they can do. And so they're like, let's try to pull off an event. I talked to the other youth pastors, I'm like, let's do this.
Hey, we're out here at Free Fall, great day out here, beautiful weather. What could be better? Telling everyone about the greatest free gift of all.
In the beginning, the contests were pretty small, and then we developed it into where we have a panel of judges that are calling out what's happening. And then there's a video screen showing the action. And it completely gave the event a much more professional and exciting feel. That when people showed up, they were like, wow, I didn't expect this.
To see the scale and the production that goes into a free fall contest, that's definitely something I never would have expected. Where skateboarding culture was then to where it is now, to see that level of buy-in from the entire community, working with the skateboarding community and the users of the skate park. I thought it was very cool that you had people that weren't skateboarders, but understood the need that these skateboarders had.
I just really resonated with the heartbeat of Free Fall and felt like it really was my heartbeat, and I kind of had come home in a sense. So I'd found out about the event. I lived in Quakertown at the time, and so I walked down to the park just to kind of check things out. I told my wife I'd be gone for about an hour and a half. And so I got introduced to Dave, and we had, just like a very short introduction of, I might be a new youth pastor in the area. And he's like, oh, that's great. I'm so glad you're here at Free Fall. Hey, you know what? We need someone to keep the time for the competition. Here's an air horn, here's a clock. Next thing you know, I'm there for like 6 hours because I timed the whole competition. And because that first year I got to just watch and observe, there were things that I kind of had ideas about how to improve it, and so then got involved in planning it, and I think I emceed the next year.
You got a park down there you ride in? You ride over at Percy Park? Nice. And you ride on the street.
It's so much more than what we originally imagined in a sense, but it happens through all the different people coming together.
We know there's a people who are welcoming, and it's only because you have welcomed us into your family, and we thank you for the love that you showed to us and the great blessing. We thank you for it in Jesus' name, amen.
Let's get great! Absolutely insanity!
I love seeing the families and the parents that come out there. Often at a skate park, there's just a bunch of kids, no parents in sight. Well, this, you have families coming from all over. I hope it's just an absolute blessing to the action sports community and just really promotes life, promotes positivity, community.
Yeah!
Growing up, watching the X Games, I was glued to the TV every event that was on. Having now been in that environment and in that setting, it's insane to just feel the energy of the crowd. I think having opportunities like that here at Free Fall is powerful because kids can get a taste of that. Like, man, I got the entire town watching, my parents are watching, my friends are watching, and now I got 60 seconds on the clock. It's my turn to do the run.
Oh my gosh, that was some scary stuff. Yeah, you should be psyched on that. Now you can be psyched.
It's really cool, and I think promotes a great way for people to just rise up to challenges. I think in life you're always going to experience different challenges and difficulties, but if you can learn in fun environments like through action sports, I think it'll help equip you for whatever you end up facing in your life.
As soon as Pastor Dave and his group got involved, we literally turned the facility 180 degrees. We experienced no more criminal mischief, zero. We had zero within 1 year.
Some of the changes in the atmosphere of the park just really made a difference. And the borough went from wanting to close this park to actually wanting to invest more in it and work together to do something better out there. I love it because the park went from being a liability to now being an asset. The wood was getting a lot of use. We were fixing it every year, and so it was like, okay, let's try something new. Let's move to concrete.
We gotta learn a better way not to put 100 screws in these things. We do it every year.
If you don't, then it'll fall apart.
Yeah, pretty much.
At that time, I thought it was just too big, too much to try to get this done. And we knew that it was going to cost millions of dollars. How was it going to be financially supported? You know, a vision, a concept is great, but it takes money to sometimes make those things come to fruition. And I told him, I said, I think it's going to take a miracle. His answer to me was, I agree, but we're going to do it.
We had been out there about 7 years at that point, and the momentum of the help that I was getting from other people was probably at an all-time low. I think there was only like 3 of us around the table, you know, that were really still bought in. And actually the 3 of us met out the park that year, and then we're like, God, it's the 7th year. It's time for a harvest. You know, it's just time for you to come through. And it was actually that year then that I met Aaron Bresner. His story captured the hearts of so many people.
You got it!
The only fatherly figure I had in my life was Dave. In 2005 or 6, my dad OD'd and passed away. And so growing up in a single family home, it was tough. My mom had 3 kids and she was still battling all the depression and drinking and abuse. So child services came and picked us up. It was hard, and I think that was the escape was skateboarding. And so skating all day meant I didn't have to go home and deal with what was going on there.
The real truth is it's tough for kids today to grow up. And there are circumstances that make it more difficult. It really takes influence, mentorship. Sometimes it takes that parenting that the youth don't get at home. They can fill those gaps. They can help fill those voids, and they can provide a friendly, safe mentorship. I think that came in baby steps.
Kids are hurting. Nobody likes it, but nobody knows what to do to fix it. And so having people actually create a vision of saying, hey, here's an opportunity to give relationships to students, to help them grow and develop. Everybody sees the need, and the reality is not many people are doing anything about it. They're trying within the old structures, but our structures are built to systematically abandon our youth. And so it requires new structures to be built. And that's what we're trying to do at Free Fall, is actually build new structures to address this need that everyone knows is out there, but there's very few people really addressing.
So yeah, I asked the students what value has Free Fall provided to them personally or to their peers, in the action sports community. And they said, your being with us has changed the perspective of who we are, that we're not hoodlums. So, and that's where one of the other students goes, yeah, we're goodlums. And that just launched our team. It stuck. We're not the hoodlums, we're goodlums.
It wasn't until, we had a crew go out there and really share the life change that was happening at the park. The growing of community there, the safe place that it was becoming. We were seeing that place become a home that people have neglected and looked away from for years.
This is really the first year that we've had like a team of guys that are coming together and willing to put like a lot of extra effort in to planning out the season. We are even getting asked to go do demos at time. Maybe you've seen some of the videos that we posted online. Last year, actually, another local church gave us their enclosed trailer. And so for this year, we're trying to better equip it and get it ready for the season and almost like have like parkside support out there on a weekly basis.
We were at Autumn Alive, and Dave asked me, I sort of asked a group of kids, anybody know how to do graphic design? And I had just started graphic design tech school up at Upper Bucks County. He more or less just asked to do the trailer. I went absolutely in on that one because it was my first real job. You know, it was the first thing that anybody looked at me and was like, here's an opportunity. Here's an actual chance to do something that's real.
We got 3 people on tip. Oh, we got the whole restaurant on tip. Hey, look, it's right down in the grass. We're gonna get started with our
One of the
show.
coolest things we got to do, we got invited out to Harrisburg. And I did the opening prayer for Senate, and the Goodlums got to experience that and be a part of that too, and meet Senator Mensch, getting the word out of who we are and what we're doing and why we're worth supporting.
For Free Fall to happen, right, it's a combination of multiple relationships and surprising relationships. First, just to get churches in a community to work together is no small feat. And then you add in businesses, and not all Christian businesses, right? So you have all different businesses that care about youth and want to impact them in the community. And then you take local government and you take school district, right? And you're layering like complex relationships all together. And I can honestly say, I have no idea how it works. Like, I don't know how it works, but it does.
To see that level of passion for the kids who use the skate park from people who didn't necessarily skate or weren't directly related to the skate culture, like that's something that we wanted to get behind. So every year after that, we did whatever we could to work with Pastor Dave.
I can't imagine what he thought when I, a pastor, walked in his door and said, hey, we're gonna do an event. And then I'm going back to it and I'm like, I know he was super involved in leading the way with developing Bethlehem's Park, so I'm like, hey man, I need to learn from you.
Remember that this is your project. The things the city's worried about is easy to keep out of the skate park. Like, they're worried about litter, they're worried about drinking in the park, they're worried about drugs. If those are easy things that you can, like, if you see somebody doing something they're not supposed to, just step up and say like, hey, we need to keep this out of here because we want to see a better skate park get built.
It was great for the students to hear from someone that they respected in the action sports community. You know, tell them that, hey, this is gonna take a good amount of time and you're gonna have to be in it for the long haul. And really the miracle was the next right person coming around the table at just the right time. It really was about relationships and about that next person showing up and contributing, using their gifts to help push this project forward.
He had told us, I think at that time, they may have raised $10,000 towards the project and that they just had this big dream, but I'm not sure at that point they thought it would ever come to be, and we could just see the passion that he had for this. I told him, I said, I think that there's a chance that some local Christian businesses would be interested in learning about this and possibly supporting it. That's kind of where the ball started rolling.
Through that process, we got invited into this like Shark Tank experience. We had 20 minutes to present our project. Aaron's story was a huge part of that because it just captured their heart. It worked. Between 3 local companies, they partnered together for $300,000 to allow us to go after state grant funding. And that was just huge, just a great step forward.
Probably our best tool is all the people that are passionate about the project or passionate about action sports and are willing to get involved. So whether that's students or whether that's adults or parents or just local community members, we're always looking for more people to be a part of it.
It was so exciting to get phone calls about how like a grant had been approved, and that would be a time of celebration, and there'd be periods of time that would go by because then you'd have to apply for another grant. And I remember sometimes in the middle of some of those blocks, we would also get a phone call that one of the teens or someone in their early 20s had died to a drug overdose or affected by heroin. And so every time we'd hear one of those and hear about one of those losses and that Dave would be helping with the funeral, it was just another reaffirmation that this was needed for the community, a place that would feel like home to the kids, that they could be here, feel safe, and hopefully this building and the park, felt like a second home to some of them.
I grew up in a family with plenty of substance abuse. I've lost enough people to know that all it might have needed was one person to go, hey, you realize what you're getting into? I'm an abuser of substances as well. I'm right there with most of those people. I feel a responsibility as somebody who understands it, maybe not fully, to be somebody who can actually try and communicate what drug addiction is and what these kids might be getting involved in.
When my brother died, Dave helped my family plan his funeral and was there for my family when they needed someone to talk to, and came to his funeral and spoke. My parents hadn't talked to him in years, and as soon as he heard Sean passed away, he jumped into the situation. So for years, they just had no idea that he was using drugs. He started when he was 14. You know, he was struggling mentally, and he passed away from something he couldn't help. Like, he had a disease, and, you know, it's not his fault. Oh, but at first I was pissed off at him. I thought he chose drugs over me. Like, me and him could have been skating together, playing basketball together, and he never gave that to me. Instead, he would just tell me, go away, go away.
There was one year there where we lost 3 students in 1 year, and that was horrendous. I did a funeral for one of the guys who overdosed in January. Coming out of that funeral, another young man, Kyle, he reached out, he cold calls the church. He asked me, what hoops do I have to jump through to get back into relationship with God? And I'm like, there's no hoops. There's no hoops. His arms are always open for you.
Kyle kind of helped me escape from my life, took me out to, get clothes if I needed it, picked me up from school, made sure I was doing schoolwork. Basically, one day, me and Kyle, we were sitting there having a conversation, and he got really serious with me. He's like, hey man, if I can have you learn anything and just have anything that you're ever gonna take away from anything that I've told you, advice that I've given you, it's Free Fall is the place for you. This place is your calling. Like, you didn't have to fight to be here. You didn't have to do anything special to get there. You just fell in place like a puzzle piece.
Well, he had a heroin addiction himself, and sadly he overdosed again. That addiction is a fight for survival. Especially when you go through loss or tragedy, it often works to bring a group together. And I think we saw that. Another level of community, another level of caring about each other, another level of just being honest with the personal addictions that we were having, each one. I was grateful for our team to be able to pull together and be able to push forward, in a way that was positive.
I knew that there was going to be those years for Dave and the Free Fall group where people were just disillusioned and discouraged. But I never doubted that it would eventually happen because of the commitment that I saw in Pastor Dave and the people that were surrounding him early on.
I would joke with Dave. I said, we've been in this boat for a while and it has hit the island. I said, let's burn the boat. We're not going back. We're going forward with this park project, and it's going to happen.
That funding year was like none other. It was incredible. It seemed like every week or month I was sharing a new goal that we just reached. Like I said, we got $300,000 to go after that state grant funding. We received $350,000 of state grant funding. It was like, wow. When we got that, I'm like, this is going to work.
In Upper Bucks County, a community project a decade in the making has taken a monumental step forward. Today, a groundbreaking ceremony for the first phase of the Quakertown Action Park Transformation Project took place on Main Street. The first phase will include the construction of a building to house Free Fall action sports, along with restrooms and snack stands. This will be followed by the construction of a state-of-the-art outdoor concrete skate park. Organizers say the project is moving forward thanks to a grassroots effort involving local businesses, church partners, and community members. Organizers say they recently reached a fundraising milestone of $1 million.
Yeah, so the original transformation project didn't have a building on it. And now that's the heartbeat, what is Free Fall without the Energy Center in terms of what it allows us to do? So initially the idea was to have the trailer, which we have, and be able to set up and do parkside support at Quakertown as well as other parks. And we were already living into that and doing that. But essentially this idea and vision started to grow of what would it look like to actually have something a little bit more permanent that would allow us to provide services and really presence. That's what Free Fall's always been about, is relationships. Right, so our question was always, how do we get adults to be comfortable being out there at the park and actually love and support the students that are there? How do we make it a space that parents feel like they're invited and welcome to be?
We have that building open, over 40 hours a week, and it's staffed with people that care. And so it becomes that hub of communication, that hub of community, and they know that there's someone there that cares for them. They can walk out right after school, just walk across the street and find someone that cares and someone that they can talk to and interact with.
Our mental health is part of our overall health.
People struggle in silence and isolation. So that's why it's so important that people get connected to community and they stay connected to community. And this is the second year that we had Mental Health Mondays at Free Fall.
The opposite of addiction isn't sobriety, it's connection. So rather than connecting with old fears or the past or substances and all that stuff, I found my way back to connecting with people and the meaning in life that I find, to be what keeps me wanting to be alive,
It's not so much about what we're struggling with, but what we're doing with that struggle that matters.
I went to the skate park here and there, I knew Dalton, but I was never involved with Free Fall. And one night Dalton sent me a message, he knew I was struggling, and he was like, hey, there's a good little meeting happening at the skate park, just come by, take your mind off things. He just told me people can come out and volunteer and help out if they want. And I just felt like I was at a point in my life where I didn't have much to be proud of. And I felt like that was a cool way to serve, maybe give myself something to take pride in. So I just signed up and that was pretty much it.
I was only ever seeing it from paper pushing. So I was very behind the scenes, so to speak. So then actually seeing the project start was honestly just a surreal feeling.
The new park area was all fenced off, so it was a tough time for us, a tough period. Hope can really inspire you, and take you forward through difficult times. And so there was a lot of hope and looking forward to what the park was going to be.
When the old park got destroyed and the new park was about to get built, they put the dirt in there and they kind of shaped everything. And then it was winter time and then it was kind of just a standstill. At that time, actually, we had our trailer full of ramps and rails, and we would just put that on the basketball court, and that was kind of what we had.
When everything was built, coming back and everything just being this pristine concrete park, what it has to offer is just so special.
Opening day was incredible to hear people, especially the students that it had such an impact on that were skating at the skate park since 2003 when you said the skate park opened. Just hearing their stories and the impact that Dave had on their lives.
I will lead that role as the guy that's messed up my life a little bit so I can teach every kid that comes out here how to be safe and how to have a great time and be everything that I see that they can be, that we see that they can be.
Can I give a round of applause for this man right here? He couldn't have said it better.
I'd argue that you saved my life, along with my girlfriend Izzy. But man, thank you.
Just seeing what it meant to all of them to have seen this process come to fruition with an incredible park. And to see that happened was just great. Now the next step is, how do you continue the legacy? And I think that's the challenge that faces the park now. Now that you have it, where do you go with it? How do you build on it?
They took it to another level of investment in the community. The community center that's there creates the ability to really kind of tap into the importance of fostering not just somebody's ability to skate, but their ability to connect skateboarding to a lot of these creative outlets.
Allison and I, we designed this board. It's got the Keystone Monster on it. We did it during the deck design, and that came about, I think it was during a Goodla meeting. That's what Free Fall does a lot. They tried a lot of different things. When I saw the board won, I was very happy. It's not just something that I just sketched on a piece of paper. It's actually people will see it, will use it, will put it on their wall. During that time, I just kept drawing and drawing, and they asked me to do the winter merch. Right on. Yep. It just keeps rolling. It's got the ball rolling, and now it's just like, all right, I want to do more and more and more, and it just keeps growing.
When you're a kid, you always want to get paid to be surrounded by skating and action sports. I always did, you know? So it was kind of a crazy experience. Like, I was so used to getting up super early in the morning and just hating it and going to work and doing what I didn't love. And it was kind of crazy to just get up and go to the skate park and just like work with kids and make really cool things.
Parker really wanted to get into skateboarding, and I gave him a skateboard and told him once he gets the board off the ground, I'd take him to free fall. He spent 6 hours a day for 6 days straight, and he finally got the board off the ground. And until then, I've never seen my son dedicate himself to anything for more than a couple days. And I said, all right, let's go to free fall.
Whenever you're ready, bud.
Within about 3 hours, Parker was able to drop in on the 4-foot quarter pipe by himself.
Oh, dude, that's awesome.
When he got it, when he landed it by himself and threw his arms up and was like, I did it. It was, wow. Like, it was, I remember that feeling as a skateboarder. The first time, like you're working on a trick, you're putting the time in, and then boom, you land something. There's no greater high than that, except for when you're the dad and you get to see your kid get that feeling.
The first person that helped me learn a trick was Valen. He taught me how to kickflip, and that's the main thing that shows you that you have control of your board.
When I was first introduced to free fall and I got up there and I saw the community and I saw the type of riders, it's the polar opposite of what I experienced as a young rider back in the day. The 90s stigma of skateboarders and being hoodlums and, you know, drugs and alcohol that followed with it. I fell into that stigma. And today is September 10th. It's my AA anniversary. 7 years ago today, I got sober and turned my life around. I learned how to live life and enjoy life and be a part of my kids' lives.
Yeah. That's about as good as it gets.
What you got, Parker? You got one last try, buddy.
I know what he wants.
Back way to finish it up. Round of applause for Parker. And that wraps up the intermediate round. Go ahead and give a round of applause. That was insane. You guys were so hyped on that. It's Minnie Foolson himself, Parker.
One of the things that I think is so powerful about free fall in general is the fact that the team here saw something that the rest of the community despised. They only saw brokenness, and I love that the team around here, Pastor Dave, saw a vision of what it could be. He saw it being empowering, beautiful, powerful.
I just am so amazed again at this community here, because this community actually believes in their skateboarders, in their BMX riders, in their scooter riders, so much that they want to put $1 million park in their facility. They want to put a center where you guys can come and get refreshed. They want to put on epic events for you to showcase your talents for the entire community.
They created that. They took what was dilapidated and they restored it. And I think that's so powerful, because that's the story of the gospel, to take what's broken and mend it.
This facility is not only supplying a place for youth to go, but it's also providing them the opportunity to be able to learn how to be good people.
They started to provide the example to the kids and the community of, well, what could this place be if we take care of it?
I think free fall has helped me grow literally in every single way. I mean, that place has shaped every bump and curve that is me. Free fall taught me so much about how to interact with people, how to interact with yourself, what it means to be part of a community.
It was like a change of what the Quakertown community could do. And definitely as we expand too, that park is gonna grow.
Free fall is almost like my silent reminder, even when I'm not there, to just be a good person. to keep going, that there are beautiful things in this world.
I've heard of so many people that grew up skateboarding here, maybe left for a bit, and came back, and they got to be a part of its journey to make it to where it is now. So the students, Pastor Dave, they're the legacy of Free Fall. Without them, it's a skate park. But with them, it's so much more.
I would hope that the legacy of Free Fall is just promoting life, promoting hope, promoting joy, positivity into every kid that walks onto that campus or any other campus we get to impact in the future.
It will be long and frustratingly slow.
Set this up and make this possible.
It's gonna ask you for more than you know. But in the end, we'll shine inside its glow.
Thank you.